Hello, hello. Okay. So, hello everyone. Today's date is 7th January and I am Malhal Lumbani. I'm currently studying DevOps engineering at Lambton College, Toronto, and I'm going to start a web development bootcamp in which I am going to build a barber shop's website. And also, like, I have not planned website or no, I have never built the website, so I will develop the whole website in this live, and hopefully it should be like beneficial to whoever who is watching. Currently there are zero watching and I'm also a bit nervous, but yeah, let's hope I'm able to build a good website and also teach someone web development. We will wait for some time before starting the bootcamp. Hopefully, my friends will join. I will share them this link. I'm sorry if you are listening to my roommate. His habit is to talk too loudly. He always talks too loud. 3 people have joined. Yeah, my roommate talks too loudly. Hopefully, someday he learns to talk a little slowly, and people living with him will be more peaceful. Mhm. Mm, Chat is disabled. Mm, oh. Mm, okay, I think now the chat is enabled. Mm. How can I enable the chat? Mhm. Hello, Snehashi Santanai. How are you? Hello, Vijay Dubey. Glad you are joined. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Joining me, not us. Hi, Professor Manpreet Kaur. Hi, all the way from Ottawa. So, let me share my screen. Can you hear Tanai in the background? 8 people are watching. So, who is watching? Hi. I will share my screen in a second. Okay, can you? Yeah, my screen is visible. Okay, welcome to Web Development Bootcamp. So, I'm hoping you guys are good and we will learn some web development today. So, for this bootcamp, there are three prerequisites which are JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. For JavaScript, if you know basics of JavaScript like loops, variables, and also promises, then it will be good. I will try to explain a little bit about JavaScript while I go to the coding part. And the second is HTML and then CSS. I hope you guys know somewhat about HTML and CSS because in web development that's the most basic. And if you don't know, then please watch some short videos about HTML and CSS and try to make a web page using HTML and CSS. Then teach you how websites and app work. So let's open a website. Just a sec. Okay, let's say we have a website which is crickbus.com. It's a website which shows us the cricket score. So usually how a website works, it has three main parts. One is the front end, second is back end, and the third one is database. So front end is what you see, let's say in this website, this whole navbar is a front end. These cards are front end. All these cards, this button, everything which a user sees through his eye is a front end. Uh, let's say these cards, the way these cards, this news, everything is front end. And whether you, front end is also responsible for like pages. This particular is a home page, so this whole will be written in a front end. And then you might ask, what's back end? So a back end is some, let's first understand database. So a database is where you store all your information regarding your website, your application. uh, so let's say we have this all data in this website. So this data needs to be stored somewhere to be visible on this website, right? So they will store this data in their databases. So where exactly can be the database? So usually nowadays people store their data on cloud. So we have multiple cloud platforms such as AWS or Azure where they store their data. uh, a user can choose between multiple database, like there are lots of database nowadays. So I will walk you through the basics of database. But the imagine is that is as a file system on your computer, like a pen drive or a CD where you store your data. So let's say this T20 World Cup, New York to host marquee India versus Pakistan clash. Hopefully I go to watch that match, but let's see. So this needs to be stored somewhere. This whole news article, the title would be stored somewhere in the database of the creepers. And all those information which is stored in database needs to be accessed to front end, and this job to get the data from database is usually done through backend. So the main job of backend is to get the data for front end. Let's say we open Instagram. So it's my user which is logged in. So all this data about me, when I click my profile, uh, all my photographs needs to be stored somewhere. So Instagram stores that in their database, and they have their own backend, which whenever I request that, it gets the data from that database. So yeah, this is shown in this current slide where we are as a user, like send request to the server, which is the database. Usually, like server is the backend, and that backend goes and finds the data for us from the database and gives us as a response. And that's how we see our websites and applications. So uh, usually when I was starting my web development, so my learnings on web development, I had many questions like what's front end, what's back end. Like I was really confused, and I tried my best to explain it. Hopefully I was able to explain you. So usually, like I used to think that okay, so this page, one page is front end and back end would be like I click this and it takes me to other page. So this is done to back end. But this is not usually done through backend. This is also front end which does the routing, and backend would usually just get this all this data, like the start time of this match, then the squads of these two teams which are playing. So everything is like go gets to us via backend. So backend's main job is to get the data from our database, and other job which backend does is get data from externally. Like let's say my website uses chat gpt. Nowadays people use ai, lots of ai in their websites. So I'm using chat gpt to get the date chat gpt's api to get the data which I wanted via chat gpt. So usually backend consists of api. And so let me try to explain api to you. Let's take an example of a restaurant. So when you visit a restaurant, let's say you are visiting a good restaurant who has a waiter in it. So it's not a self-service restaurant; it's with waiter. So whenever you visit that restaurant, you will order your course, you order your meal via waiter. So waiter will take your order, then waiter will take that order to the chef, and chef will cook it, and then waiter will also bring the food to you. So let's say you are front end and the chef is database, and the backend here would be the waiter. So waiter would go and get the data for you and for front end. Okay, then so usually front end is built. Main front end is the main part for front end is html and css. So a website is built using html and css. And front end is oh, hi, why are you talking so loudly?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Tanay here is also a very good coder.
लाइव है
Say hi to Tanay, guys.
कहाँ है दिख नहीं रहा मैं
आएगा अभी तो भी।
अच्छा डिले डाला है
नहीं, वो डीले अपना आप ही आ गया।
ओ
ओह
अच्छा
आ गया।
तू लाइव नहीं है साले वी कैन सी यू टने से कब जा साले जा तो इंग्लिश में समझाना
हाँ,
Nice.
I'm trying to explain, but I am getting very nervous.
हम सभी है भाई हमारे सामने तो कितना बकबक करता है वही करना है सिर्फ
यहाँ पे
कैमरा
नहीं
के
हो रहा ना
सामने
बक बक।
चल चालू तो कर समझाना
Thanks, Neasis Das. Appreciate it. Thanks, Vidi Dubey. Dubey, appreciate it. गान मार रहे हैं लोग।
चल चालू कर भाई
हाँ भाई, मैं समझा ही रहा था भाई अभी तक।
ओ ऐसा है
हाँ,
तो मैं आया तो भी बन गया
because you are the star of the show.
अबे ये गाली बोलाएगा तू पता चला 1 10 निकल गए और भाई सीरियस रहे ऐसा मस्ती मत कर
Okay. So front end usually is built using HTML and CSS. All the web pages like buttons, this card, and all is built using HTML and CSS. And then we use JavaScript to implement some logic in our front end. Let's say if you want to make sure there's an animation like this when you scroll, that kind of animation can be given via JavaScript. So JavaScript is used to do that. So I'm not so sure, so we'll Google it. So main purpose of this live stream is that I will build the website and learn concepts with you guys so that you can be like usually whenever someone is teaching web development, they will usually have a website built and then they will build the website again by scratch. And like they already know all the concepts and they will teach you. But what I'm trying here is that I will build the concept, I will learn the concepts and also teach you guys. I know everything, but I will also learn. And I don't have the website built. I don't know, I don't even have the design ready for the website. I We will build uh, on the go, and let's hope the website is built great. So what's the use of JavaScript in web development? Usually it's advised to learn docs and all, but I believe that you can always read some blogs, because blogs are written in easy language, and I find documentation to be in a like difficult language. But it's up to you. If reading docs is more preferred, but it's not bad to read even blogs, because lots of people have already done their research, and they will make you understand in a more easy way. So let's say a high level definition. JavaScript is a programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web page. Every time a web page does more than just sit there, display static information, you can bet that JavaScript is probably involved. Yeah, that's what I said. Animated graphics to real time update the data on website. Let's say uh, there's an increment button online. Let's say this, when you are clicking the button, usually if you're not using JavaScript, it would be not possible for you to update this variable directly, like live time. Like it would update on the client side, but it would not be displayed live. So like this. So JavaScript is useful to display all the real time changes. HTML, CSS. So what can I really do? Store useful values into variables. Yes, let's say you want to, you got the data from backend regarding your username. I'm not logged in currently, but if I am logged in, okay, on this website would show a username over here that can be stored in a variable, which can be used everywhere in the whole website. Uh, what's JavaScript doing on your code? This can be interesting. Here we are actually, here we will actually start looking at some code. Hmm, bit difficult. Mhm. Building web application, developing engaging game. What is JavaScript designed for? Speed, dynamic pages. Why do you need? Whether you plan to specialize front end, back end, full stack, JavaScript is a crucial. Um, Yeah, I know that. No, I know this, but we want to use in front end. To make dynamic interactions on web page. Yeah, if you just use HTML and CSS, it would be a static web page. You can't make a whole website using just HTML and CSS. So we use JavaScript to write functions which would not make your website just static. And like if you click a button, the user should go there or update the text. It All these kind of things are done using JavaScript. And for this, for our web development bootcamp, we are going to use MERN stack. So like for front end, there are various technologies which you can use. Along with, you can just use vanilla JavaScript. So what is vanilla JavaScript? Vanilla JavaScript is when you use just pure JavaScript, nothing else, no framework, no library or anything. So but we are not going to build a website on vanilla JavaScript. We are going to build it using a front end technology called React. The other popular front end technology is AngularJS, which was developed by Google, and React is developed by I think Facebook. So yeah, we are going to use React. I'll tell more about React in future. And what is a stack? So usually a stack is something, the number of technologies which is used by your uh, which is used to build your website. Let's say you are building a website, you are using front end, back end, and a database. So that three things would usually come in the stack, along with some library or framework which you use in that project. So there are many different popular stacks. The most famous, I would say, not the most famous, but this MERN stack. So MERN stack is MongoDB, which is a database; Express, which is a framework used in Node.js; React.js is a React.js is a front end technology which helps us to make a website dynamic, and then for the backend it's Node.js. So we are going to build a barber's website using this technology, MERN stack. MERN stack is MongoDB, React. We are building website for a local barber shop where people can book appointment. I would show you the website if I can. Hmm. Yeah, I'll show you the website in a bit. Yeah, here it is. So we will be building a website similar to this one, where it is a local barbershop website, which this is the barbershop next to my house, and they have a website. So I will try to make a website similar to this one. So what does this website contains? So this whole is front end. So everything over here, this card where they show the details of their barber is whole front end, and the data which is stored over here, like this, all the barbers who work at the shop, all the photographs, the name, everything would be stored somewhere, and we get, whenever we load this page, we get this via backend. So for our website we are going to use React, MongoDB, and Node.js. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database which we'll use, and React is a uh, JavaScript library. Okay, I usually get confused about that. So React is a JavaScript library which we will use, and then we have Node.js which would be work as our backend. So what's Monstack? I just explain you. I know I am not a good teacher, but yeah, that's the best I can do. But you will understand everything once we start building website. Once you go live, like once we go practical, it would make more sense. Currently I'm just trying to give you the introduction of our project. Then we have React.js. So what is React.js? React.js is a library that helps developer build UI for the website. It makes easier to make dynamic web pages and make the whole website kind of interactive. And also it helps us to maintain our project. Like, if let's say if we have a very big website just like Instagram or Creepers, it would be very difficult for if we just have HTML, CSS, and pure JavaScript. So it would, like, you create one button, it would be very difficult for you to use that. So React helps us to do that. It helps us to make reusable components which we can use all over our project. Then we have MongoDB. So MongoDB is an open source database. It is a NoSQL database. So what's the main difference? Like, there are two kinds of database currently. One is SQL, standard query SQL database, which is standard SQL, full form is standard query language, and one is NoSQL database. So a SQL database is a relational database. So what's relational database? So in relational database, everything you store is stored in table, and it's stored in a systematic way. And in NoSQL is a non-relational database. So in no non-relational database, there's you don't store the store the data in tables. You store directly it using in the collections. The NoSQL database always uses connections. Let's say difference between relational database. Hmm. So database based on relation model. So sorry guys. Uh, let's read this one. A relational database is a database which is structured in rows and columns, making it easier to mine data from existing non-organized data in documents, collection graphs. So there are some kind of rules when you store data in relational database, and there are not so much rules when you store it in non-relational database. That's what I know. So in relational database, you store it in form of tables. So in table, there would be rows and column, and it would be very easier if you want to have like huge data, and you have to like connect all many tables. Let's say you have a user table, and then you have products table, then you have orders table, then you have carts table, like not cart, I would say order table, then you have inventory table. So whenever you build a web application, it would be very difficult for you if you store like this kind of data in a non-relational database, because you have to join many tables. So it would be advised that you use SQL database in this kind of, because in SQL you would store everything in row and column, and it would be more easier to join the data and get the data. Whereas in non-SQL database, non-relational database, you store it in the form of documents and collections, and you can also store it in graph. Like it is a very flexible database, and it can store more complex data such as big data. Nowadays you get live data from everything. Like let's say you have a smartwatch, and it constantly sends the data back to their server, and they receive all kinds of data, let's say from smartwatch, from your mobile, everything. And they so to if they use relational database, there it would be so difficult, because there's lots of data, complex data. It's not structured data, it's non-structured data. So in that case, it's advised to use a non-SQL database. So example of relational database is SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and the examples for non-relational database are MongoDB, Firebase. Firebase is of Google, which is like easy if you are using Google Cloud services. But I would say the best for me, non-relational database is MongoDB. So in non-relational database, you always store in the form of document and collection. Uh, so let's say when you build a website, let's say about this Greek bus. Let's take example of Instagram. So Instagram would have lots of different tables. And if we talk about non-relational database, table is similar to collection. uh, so if we have users, one table would be of users, or one collection would be of users, where it would contain all the users which are there on Instagram, like my account, your account, all this Ajay Devgan's account. Everything would be stored somewhere at everyone's data would be stored in a users collection. So usually when you are building a website, if it has users, let's say for this website too, we will not have users, but on the admin side we will have like, if you are the owner of this shop, so you have a new barber who works at your shop, so you will create one user in your database. So there would be one more entry in the collection of users. Mm, sorry. So I hope I tried to like teach MongoDB, but I know I was not that good. But which is faster? Uh, I would say it depends on like the data, kind of data which you have, but you can always search. Okay, so because the data is not stored together, like every data is separated and not too much linked with each other. So non-relational database are faster. Yeah, I would agree on that. Wait for protecting data. Hmm. It says non-SQL is faster, but at the cost of consistency. Yeah, like NoSQL is faster, but at the cost of consistency. Yeah, like it would be if you have data which is not so oriented and you. Hmm. Yeah, I would say like NoSQL is faster, but it depends on your project. If you have a large amount of data and like it's not so structured, uh, you can use non-SQL. But if you have like where, let's say if you have a table which if you have data which is more structured and you want, there's lots of joins in that, join like the data is connected and structured, you can use SQL. Means it is denormalized then. What is denormalized? Uh, just a second. Use NoSQL if speed is your requirement and relational if consistency is requirement. Yeah, and it's denormalized NoSQL because it doesn't use joins. So what's Node.js? So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment which helps you run JavaScript outside of browser. So earlier to JavaScript was especially written like as JavaScript was used to uh, JavaScript was used inside the browser. It was not possible for us to uh, not possible for us to uh, run JavaScript outside of browser. So with the help of Node.js, we are able to run JavaScript outside the browser, and it is a server side. Like its main use of it is to make server side applications to make APIs, allowing developers to use JavaScript for both front end and back end tasks. Yeah. Then we have Express.js, which the E in the MERN stack stands for Express. So Express is a web application framework. It simplifies the process of building web application by providing a set of conventions and tools. So as I said, allows you to run JavaScript on Node.js is a runtime environment which helps you to run JavaScript on server side. Where with the help of Node.js, you can build like server side application, but it would be very difficult to make a whole web application using Express.js. Using Express.js, we can do routing, middleware. So it simplifies our code. So we use Express.js as a framework for our backend. So yeah, let's start building the website. So let's go to Google and start download. So the first requirement to build this website is to download Node.js. So download Node.js. So this is the link where you can download the Node.js for your OS. I already have it installed in my laptop. Uh, let's go to documents and make a folder, barber website. And in VS Code, let's open that. Okay, so we are in our folder. Uh, Sorry. So yeah, to start the Node application, when you download Node.js from online, you also get npm installed with it. So start a no simple Node.js project. Let's say if when you download Node.js, you can always check using node test v. So it says if it gives you the version, then the node is successfully installed in your laptop or in your PC. npm-v, do we have npm version? Yeah, you can also do an npm-v. So npm is a node package manager. It helps you to download all the packages for your Node.js. So to start a node project, you usually do npm init dash y. It would make a node project in this particular folder. So yeah, so it would create a package.json. So what's a package.json? So package.json is like the main entry point of this project. So it would contain the name, version, and it also consists of scripts like the commands which would be used to start our application. So if you download some dependencies, some packages for your project, it would always show up on this on package.json, and you don't create package.json. It is created automatically by Node when you start a Node project. And it also, when you have all the dependencies in this, it would be easy, because uh, when you are uploading your code to GitHub to version control, you would not upload all the dependencies which you downloaded, because dependencies which you will be downloaded would be of which would be like too too much data. So it is not always advised to send that online. So yeah, we have our package log JSON created. Then we'll create index.js file. So index.js would be the main file which would contain like the main logic of our program, of our web app. So next we will install express.js. So to download anything on Node, you do npm install. Let's say express npm. So this website npm.js, you can search all the packages, and if you want to download it, you can find the link from here. Like you can find the command from here, npm I express. So let's read the documentation for express. It says install express, and to make a basic web app for express, you can copy this code. So let's say we use npm install express. Okay, so Express was installed on our website, on our code. So see your dependencies. This was what I was talking about. So this is so whenever we you do npm install, it would take your dependencies, the version of it, and add it in the packet.json. So whenever someone else is wants to use your code, the node modules consist of the particular all the dependencies which got installed. So you would not give him the node modules, you would just give him the package.json file, and that would be useful. He can directly do npm install and it would download all the dependencies in his computer. So now let's copy this code and paste it over here. So what we have done over here, if you know the basic JavaScript, you would know that whenever you want to use the dependency which you installed, you always do using require. So we imported the express module over here, then we made our app, like when we made the instance of express, and then you can use express to make the API. So this is a common route which is made currently, which would just give the response of hello world whenever it is clicked, and app.listen. So our web application will be listened on port 3000. So let's save this, and when you run node index.js, okay, so our web application is now started, and if you go localhost 3000, then see you get hello world, which is over here. Let's say you write hello YouTube viewers and restart it. You would refresh this page and you would get this. So it's not the web page. We have made an endpoint at localhost 3000, and whenever it is called, you get the response of this response, which is hello YouTube viewers. So it's just a basic web app, not a web app, basic backend which we have currently made. We have made our API which runs at port 3000, and whenever this route is called, we send this text as a response. Hmm. So yeah, this is basic Node and Express backend application. So let's say you create a variable port is equal to 8001. So what exactly is port like? How many ports are there? Ports in computer, not this ports. What's port 3000? 3000. Comments. Sports networking. So port is basically endpoint. How many ports does our computer consist? I think it's I don't know. Hmm. So usually a port is where your web application would be hosted. So in your whole computer, okay, you would have many default port which would be used for your computer applications. So like our web application would run on port 3000. Let's say you have multiple backend which is running on different ports. Let's say 3000, 3001, 3002. So whenever a request comes to your computer, it should know which port it should go. So like it should always have the port number assigned to it. So for our web application for backend, we are going to use port 8001, and you can also use any port you want, like ports which we can use for backend. Hmm. So your guy has replied that there are around 65,535 ports minus the reserved ones, like 1 to 10 are the reserved ports. The reserved ports are used by your computer. Let's say like when you run MongoDB on local, it should run on port 27,000, I think. MongoDB port. See, 27,017 is the default port for MongoDB and MongoDB instance, which is assigned to a computer. So let's say if I am running my backend application already on 8001, and I start another application on the same port, it would throw me an error that another website or on another server is already running on that port. So we have around this many ports. You can select it, but you can't run your application on default ports. So I'm using 8001 for our application. So we have defined a port over here, which is 8001, and then we will use that port over here. So now, whenever hmm, okay, I need to restart it. So the earlier it was running on port 3000, but now we are running on 8001. So yeah, oh, this is where our web application will run. Now let's look about MongoDB. So you can use MongoDB on your local as well. Like you can create you can download MongoDB on your computer, and you can store all your data in that on your own computer and use that data here. But over here, we are going to use MongoDB Atlas just because it's on cloud. And if I uh, try to switch to other computer, I can directly use that. So let's go to MongoDB Atlas. So it would just give me a URL which I can access for my database. So it would be very easier for me to connect and view my database from whenever I want. Okay, so let's create a new cluster. And oh, we are going to create a free cluster. I'm not so sure. What's the free one? That's the free one. What's the free one? I There was the option for free. Oh yeah, it is the free one. I already have one. So I think yeah, here it is. So this one is a free cluster which I am making. Um, barber shop. So it would give me a storage of just 512 MB, which would be free, and I can use this to like, because I'm just developing a demo application, so that much storage should be enough for me. So let's create it. Password. Oops. I would first set my password and then show it to you. Just give me a minute. I'll make a cluster ready and then share my screen again. Okay. So we have created a cluster, and to connect to this cluster, you can use MongoDB for VS Code. Okay, so how can you use MongoDB in your Node.js application? So for that, we need to use a dependency, a package called Mongoose. So let's see, MongoDB Node.js application. Mhm. I don't want to create a config with you. So you use Mongoose for that. So let's just directly go to the MongoDB npm. Okay. So to use Mongoose, this is the official npm website link for Mongoose. So Mongoose is a MongoDB object modeling designed to work in asynchronous. MongoDB supports Node.js and Dino. What's Dino? JavaScript runtime. It's similar to Node.js. It's a runtime environment. Upgrade from Node.js to Dino. No, we will use Node.js only. We don't want to go to Dino and learn something completely new. I'm struggling to teach Node.js. It would be impossible for me to learn and teach Dino. The name sounds interesting, Dino. So let's go to our terminal. Hide this guy. So it's npm install mongoose. So it would install mongoose and add that in the package.json. Let's see it live. See? Did you see that? We got mongoose over here automatically, and this is a different file which is created, which is called packagelog.json. So packagelog.json is usually used to packagelog.json is used to do versioning uh, when you upload your website, when you make your website live. So at that time packagelog.json is used, but you can always see difference between package.json and packagelog.json. Between package.json. Focus on project metadata and specifying the desired version of dependency ensures that deterministic installation by locking the exact version of dependency. So, hmm, both are important components of Node.js, but they serve different purposes. Here are the main difference between them. Package.json. This file is primarily used for managing and documenting metadata, what its name, version, author. Yeah, I told you about that. This file is generated and updated automatically by npm when installing or updating packages. It is used to lock the exact version of dependencies installed in the project, ensuring reproducibility. Okay, so it's just used to version your dependencies, like lock the exact version of a dependencies install, ensure reproducibility, consistent installation across different environments. Hmm. You should not manually update package.log.json. You can update package.json. If you want to upgrade or degrade to a particular version, you can directly change it from here and do an npm install. So Mongoose environment would be changed. Mongoose version which is used in this project would be changed. So yeah, now we have the Mongoose installed. Let's close this guy. Sorry guys, my charger just got disconnected. Okay. Oops, I accidentally closed Mongoose. Okay. So let's go to index.json file. Let's import mongoose in this file. So require mongoose. So to connect to MongoDB database, first When you listen to this function, let's change this to app.listen and specify the port, and also use a function as a callback so that whenever our backend start, we get some kind of log over here. So console.log starting our backend at port. Okay, let's run this with node index.js. See, we have a log over here, so it would be easier for us to see that. Mm, let's now let's like connect the MongoDB database which we created over here. Let's say how are they connecting? mongoose.connect. So mongoose.connect. Let's say we will not use this database, but link. But we are going to use MongoDB for VS Code. I'm going to copy this link, paste it over here. Let's say you don't know my password. Now what you'll do with my password? I don't know. Take all my money. Okay, let's hope this would connect to our database. See, so whenever this is printed connected, this would mean that we are connected with our database, which is this database over here. Let's say we use td connected. As you may have noticed, every time I make some changes in my file, I have to uh, kill my terminal and then restart my server. So this is kind of like not so good process. I Whenever we are developing, it's always when we are saving our file, it should automatically restart. So for that we use nodemon. So nodemon is again a package which is used in node projects, which would, using that you would directly just whenever you save the file, it would automatically restart your server. You don't need to always restart it manually. So let's see how we can use the nodemon. So once the nodemon is installed, you would go over here, you would say start node, say nodemon index.js maybe, I'm not so sure. And when you do npm start, yeah, see, so now our backend has been started at 8001, and now when you add this, see, I don't have to save my application, restart the server manually. It does it for me automatically, and you can see it on live as well. So database has been connected to a node application. So for today, I would end my session over here, and tomorrow we will again meet and hopefully do more progress. Today was just an introduction session, and tomorrow I would start making the backend for our barber's website. And okay, see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully this was a good session, and someone in future, even in future, would be able to learn something. And I would see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. So yeah, all right, bye bye. Thanks, Neashish. You are very supportive. Thank you. Appreciate your support. I know I was not very good, but tomorrow I will try to be more prepared and learn, like teach you guys as much as I could. Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.